Okay, when I want to do this problem right here, the first thing I want to do is make sure that my problem is in factored form when I look at it, and it appears that this is already in factored form. So what do I want to do next? I'm going to go ahead and look at how many degrees that I have. That's 3, and there's 4, 5, 6. It's degree 6. You have to look at multiplicity, and 6 is an even number. So that's easy, even. Well, if you recall, the maximum number of turns is always 1 less. You don't even have to look or think. 6 minus 1 is 5. Maximum intercepts, you can have the same number as the degree. And let's talk about the zeros. If you have x cubed, there's going to be 3 zeros at 0 because it's a terrace, because it's repetitive at 3 times. X minus 3 gives us a 0 at 3. And then x plus 4 squared gives us 2 zeros. It's a double root at negative 4, which is why there is a tangent at negative 4. Now, to go ahead and start the process, we know that we're going to have a 0 here. We're going to need to go to 1, 2. Actually, I think I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because it always helps. So if I'm going to pick up a pen again, I'll take black again. So if I know 4 has got to be my largest, 1, 2, I know there's a 0 at 3 and at negative 4. A sign change chart is you're picking points that are in the intervals. So there are points to the left of negative 4, which would be negative 5. There's going to be points between negative 4 and 0, which I can pick negative 1 or negative 2, negative 3. There's going to be points between 0 and 3. I'll just pick 2. And there's going to be points from 3 to infinity. I'll just pick 4. To do those are the test points, and then I'm going to go ahead and plug in my factors, which is x cubed. I've got x minus 3. X plus 4 quantity squared. And then what is my final sign that I'm going to get after I calculate the signs? All you're doing is determine if it's positive or negative. If I cube a negative number, it's going to be negative. If I cube a positive number, it's going to be positive. Negative 5 minus 3 is negative. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative. 2 minus 3 is negative. And 4 minus 3 is positive. Anything I plug in here when I square it is going to be positive. So I'm just going to fill in all pluses here. Then I'm going to look. If I have 2 negatives and a positive, that's the product of that is positive. Again, 2 negatives and a positive is positive. 1 negative would be negative, and all positives would be positive. So this is telling me that at negative 5, my function is going to be positive, right here. Between 0 and negative 4, my function is still going to be positive. Between 0 and 3, my function is going to be negative, and after 3, it's going to be positive. This tells me the behavior of my graph, which I can go ahead and draw, seeing that there's a tangent at negative 4, which makes sense because how in the world would it go back up to positive unless it touched down? There's a terrace at 0, so I'm going to draw kind of a weird squiggly there. And it's going to go back up through 3. It's a little nasty picture, but considering I'm using the mouse, it's not that bad. So then as x approaches negative infinity, f of x is going to be approaching what? Look at it. Right here, positive infinity. And as x is going to positive infinity, it's going to positive infinity. Now, You could have figured this out though, because if it's degree 3 and A is positive, they're both going to go up. So you could have gotten that behavior without sketching the graph. Maximum is where the highest points are. There's a maximum right here. So the local maximum would actually be between -4 and 0. Local minimums are going to be where it's tangent here, that's 1, and then there's 1. So there's 1 at -4, that's your minimum, and then between 0 and 3. Okay, that takes care of it. I hope that helps you guys to understand how to graph or sketch a given function.